the county down, and we have been counting. And now we have come, we are telling you, the 42 days are over. The good thing is the same team, the same people who are telling you. Yes, traditionally, we've been counting from the last patient discharged, like they communicated in Marago. But we have since reviewed the science. Why do you count 42 days? You count 42 days because the incubation period of Ebola is 21 days. When you get infected, you can develop symptoms in a period of 2 to 21 days. So we usually count 2 cycles of incubation period. And why you are counting those days is that you are suspecting that there could be local transmission going on, which we have not detected. So within 42 days, if there was an infection somewhere in the country, it will have come out through symptoms. That's why we count 2 cycles. But now, the other gentleman, I said it in the statement, the other gentleman we discharged at Marago, we looked at the dynamics. Who was he? This is a person who hid in a cargo truck coming from DRC. He hid and came as luggage as part of the contents of the cargo truck. And when he reached town, he called, and then he came, was hospitalized. So he did not expose his sickness to any person that we confirmed. So meaning that there is no contact, there is no person who was at risk from this person. That's why we went backwards and went to the last one we had discharged. Because you see, you must be informed by science. This is not witchcraft. This is the science. The reason why we count for the 2 days is that you are looking at the last case you discharged. Did that case expose some people to a risk? And in case there is some risk exposed, then you give it time for it to emerge through symptoms. But in this case of the Congolese, we went back and traced. He did not expose anybody to the risk of Ebola infection. The one who could have been of risk is the other one on the 16th of June. That's why now we made an adjustment. It is scientific. It is scientific that the one who could have posed a risk that justifies the 42 days is the other one who was discharged on the 16th of June. That's why now we counted the 42 days. Instead of the other Congolese, we now went backwards and counted from the one of 16th of June, now the 42 days. So we are now sure, from a scientific standpoint, there is no more risks within Uganda arising from those 20 cases that we admitted and managed. Does the WHO? The answer is yes. That's why in the last paragraph which I read, we were saying now Uganda is Ebola free and is open to tourists, international travel, investors. Nobody should fear coming to Uganda on the basis of the risk of Ebola. But we have also urged, before even this statement, that the restrictions imposed by these countries were not necessarily backed by public health science. I have said this severally in public platforms, that the Ebola disease was first identified in 1976.
Capacity as a country to create a lot of awareness. As the minister said, this is the 9th outbreak in Uganda. And if you remember the outbreak of 2001, the fatality was high. And that's the one that killed a number of people, including Dr. Lukuya, may his soul rest in eternal peace. So there is a lot of awareness that's built over time, and of course the alerts are higher. We have seen a number of people volunteering information, And some of it is false information, but false information is good. It shows that the message has got across to the community. The second point is, as government, as a ministry, we have built capacity, laboratory capacity. In the past, most of the specimens and samples had to come to Kampala. But I want to assure Ugandans, now we have built capacity at regional level, and we have also built capacity along the border districts. And that means the turnaround time for testing samples is now less than 4 hours. Our frontline healthcare workers, that when samples are collected, we no longer have to send them to Kampala, to the Uganda Virus Research Institute. 4 hours we are able to tell if we have confirmed cases. My third point is on the issue of human resource capacity.
It's a bit unique. Remember that we are still in the MOU discussion, all those things. And what really we are proud of is that largely this response has been funded by government. And as Honorable Charles said, these are big lessons for us. These are big lessons for us. We are instituting mechanisms, and I believe even in the next epidemic, we will be in a better position to handle our own response. And we are going also to restructure in a way that we have more human resource that can do this work without depending largely on the external support. Government committed $5 million to this response, and it's the one that helped us. But also other partners that came with the money, unfortunately, they were not bringing the money to government. They were supporting. They pay for communication in talk shows. They pay for some supplies. They pay for some allowances.